What does it take for food or a recipe to go viral? On TikTok, it seems pretty straightforward. It's something that obviously has to be delicious, but more importantly, has to be convenient and easy to do. That's how trends like the one-pan egg toast, dalgona coffee, the tortilla fold, or even the feta pasta all got started. The other type of dishes that get quite popular online are mashups of much-loved treats. Think ice cream cake, ube cheese pan de sal, leche flan donuts, chai latte, or pancake cereal. This is the direction I want to take. So let's try and make the next trending dish. Leche flan and banana bread were two of the most searched for recipes on Google during isolation or lockdown last year. And I get it, when we're in isolation or in quarantine, we tend to look for things that give us comfort, and who doesn't love a good banana bread? But let's also be very honest with each other, who doesn't have a whole bunch of bananas that are getting close to being rotten? I'm gonna be using today a recipe for my banana bread, which I've already posted before, where I really wait and make sure that the bananas are basically black and completely almost quote unquote rotten. But today I'm just gonna be using some regular spotted bananas for this recipe. For our banana cake, you'll need 1 1/2 cup of flour, 1 cup of brown sugar, a half a teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, a half teaspoon of kosher salt, a half teaspoon of cinnamon, 130 grams of brown butter, 2 large eggs, 1 1/2 cup of overripe bananas, mashed and measured, a half cup of sour cream, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. This is really simple to make. First, start by just mixing all the dry ingredients together and set that aside. For our butter, place it in a small pan over medium heat. Continuously mix this until the mixture becomes slightly brown, not black, and immediately take it off the fire. This should take about 15 to 20 minutes. Let that cool completely. Mix all your wet ingredients together in a separate bowl. We're then going to slowly mix both of these mixes using a fork or a spatula. You really don't want to overmix this. I mix it for about 1 minute just to incorporate it, but don't mind the lumps too much. For the leche flan, pretty standard, you'll need 10 egg yolks, 340 mils of evaporated milk, 285 mils of condensed milk, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1 teaspoon of grated lime zest, and 10 tablespoons of fine white sugar. Start by placing all the sugar in your baking pan. I'm using a 9x3 here. Run this on your stove, slowly melting all the sugar and making it sure not to let it go too far. The most important thing is that the sugar granules are completely dissolved. After that, it really comes down to personal preference. The darker it is, the more bitter it'll become. So take it off right before it's the color you want it to be. Place the egg yolks in a bowl and slowly beat them with a fork. During this whole process, if you want to make a perfect, meaning no lump, no airiness, leche flan, you have to beat this really slowly as to make sure that no bubbles form. Add in your 2 milks, vanilla extract, and zest. Now if you want something really smooth, pass this through a strainer. This is where familiarity ends. I mean, there are some chiffon leche flan cakes out there, but the densities here of the two batters are very different. I've made these things separately before, and these are the recipes that I use. Let's now see if we can actually just put them together and make it work. Place the flan first and then the banana bread batter. I'm doing this because I feel like the flan density will keep up the banana bread, since the banana bread, even though it might seem like it's heavier, has flour, so should be more surface to float than the leche flan. As I was putting it, my confidence level was pretty low because it looks like it was sinking into it. In any case, I'm gonna pop this in at 160 centigrade or 320 Fahrenheit for about 45 minutes in a bain-marie, meaning a tray filled with boiling water, reaching about halfway our cake pan.
As you can see, it has completely cooled down. It was popping up a while ago right after the oven and kind of deflated a little bit. I'm not too sure about this one. I feel like the caramel chipped. There are kind of like some nicks here and there. Maybe the sugar didn't dissolve fully. I feel like the banana cake itself was too heavy. Like as I was putting it down with the flan mixture, with Leche Flan mixture, it was kind of sinking in. So I'm not sure what this is gonna look like once I turn it around. This is the first time I try this, so hopefully we get it quite right, and then we'll try to see if we can perfect it. Well, if this is perfect, which I doubt it is, then we can call it a day. I'm gonna run a pastry knife on the side first. That did sound, did you hear that crunch? That didn't sound right at all. Okay, not as bad as I expected it to be. This is workable. It's collapsed. I don't know if you can see that, but it's completely collapsed in the middle. So I don't know if that's an issue that I undercooked it, or the batter was too heavy, but I do see a separation between the flan and the banana bread, which is completely surprising to me. I thought this was gonna be like a whole mess. But yeah, I'll show you in a bit. I'll show you some tights, but basically it's collapsed in certain sections and you've got like that floating caramel. And if I look at here, I do have some crystallized sugar happening. So I don't know why and how that happened. I'm still extremely curious, even though we're gonna have to do this again, clearly, about what it looks like inside. So let's go ahead and cut off one slice. I'm so nervous. Interesting. I'm not exactly sure what happened. The Leche Flan seems to have broken up mostly in the middle. If you look at kind of like that side piece, it looks really good from that exterior. It's one whole, but then as we go closer to the center, it kind of just dips and collapses. And it could be because, if you look at here, that part of the banana cake is not cooked. The center didn't cook. So then, obviously by removing it from the container, it collapsed in the middle. But the side parts seem to be okay. So I think maybe if we left this a little longer, it could have worked better. But I also do feel like because the batter for the banana bread is so dense, it probably takes too long to cook. If we were gonna leave the Leche Flan in there for like an hour or something, it might overcook also, it might not be as good. Let's try it. I'm gonna try the sides, obviously, because the center part isn't really done. I mean, flavor-wise, it's delicious.
For day 2, the main thing I'm gonna change is beating the egg whites separately from the yolks for the banana bread, just to get it slightly closer to what a chiffon cake would be, because usually people use chiffon for this kind of combination. I have no idea if it's gonna change something or help, but me thinking that just making it quote-unquote slightly lighter will help it float a little bit more and just make sure that we have a nice separation between the flan and the banana bread. A lot of the times, this is the part that most people don't see on YouTube videos, especially when it's a new recipe. We do have to try it a couple times to make sure we get it right.
This is attempt number 2. I just finished a couple of other dishes. I had this outside for about an hour until I could basically lift it up from the bottom, and then I put it in the fridge for about an hour and a half while I was finishing up the other videos. There are some noticeable cracks, but nothing too crazy because we're gonna flip it anyways. But I really hope I got this right. At one point, I poked it like 2 or 3 times with a food thermometer. If you're measuring the temperature of your steaks, I highly recommend you measure the temperature of your cakes as well. It rhymes, hey, that rhymes. Because you can basically tell if a cake's done, hopefully, with the temperature. So I think flan or custards usually kind of set around 180 Fahrenheit, and then cakes like banana breads and pastries and stuff, usually around 200. So obviously we have 2 different layers, which would be then done at 2 different times, unfortunately. So I went with banana bread because that was the one previously that had kind of like fallen apart. All right, so I'm just trying to buy myself time here because I really don't want to do this again. It's actually fairly loose already on the side. Say a little prayer. That looks pretty good. Yeah, I messed it up by doing that thing with the knife. I shouldn't have done that. Look at that. Look how much stuff I kind of left behind. So much, look at that. I was a little scared that my caramel was a little too dark, but it actually turned out absolutely perfect. All right, let's take some shots of this and then let's open it up. Okay, time to give this a cut. I was kind of stupid to put it on a plate with sides. I should have just put it on a flat plate, but oh well. That's what you get for trusting the guy that never bakes, ever. Okay, so let's cut through this. Good combination.
It's a very good combination. Sweet and sweet. I could probably eat
all of it.
4 slices of this.
But it's pretty light, huh? It tastes pretty light.
Both textures are so fluffy. So it's like a burst of like fluffiness in your mouth.